Hello everybody and welcome back to this section. And right now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at different modules with the interaction of the websites, as well as the interaction with the HTTP requests, HTTP responses, and so on and so on. So first of all, the HTTP requests, dealing with HTTP requests in Python is not that easy, especially when we have two different actual modules, urlib and urlib2, to handle HTTP related operation. Now both of these modules basically have different set of functionalities, and many times they need to be used together, such as, for example, the main drawback of using urlib1 is that it is confusing. Few methods are available in both urlib and urlib2, and the documentation is not so clear, and we need to write a lot of code to make even a simple HTTP request. So to make things simpler, one easy to use third-party library known as requests is available, and most developers prefer it to use it instead of the urlib library. Now it is an Apache 2 licensed HTTP library powered by urlib and httplib. So in order to install the requests module, because it doesn't really come pre-installed in Python, I already have it installed. Therefore, if I just open my idle and type import requests, it will work. But if you don't have it installed, you will receive an error. Now, there are two ways to install it, basically, or not two ways, there are two different ways to install it with the same command, whether that depend whether you actually put the pip inside the path, which allows you to actually run it from whichever directory you want. And in case that you don't really know what I'm talking about, I will show you right now. If you open up your command prompt, and in order to open up the command prompt, you just simply type cmd, press here enter, and this is the command prompt, which you can type the commands that are going to get executed by this system. And if you actually added the Python as a path, so you can execute it from whichever directory you want, in order to actually install requests, you can simply just type pip install requests, and then it will work. But if you are using the Python as in my case, where I don't really have it in a path and I can't really execute it from anywhere I like, you will need to navigate through the app data directory and through the programs to find Python 3, and then go to the scripts folder of Python 3 and perform this same actual command. And I will show you how you can do that. Basically navigate to your account directory, and you can navigate just by going to cd and then specifying the path, such as for example cd, then users backslash, and then the name of the user that you currently have Python installed in. And once you're there, all you want to type is this command, so cd app data, so app and then capital data. It will lead you to this directory, where in order to check what is stored in this directory, you can simply just type dir right there, and you will see that there are three different directories in this directory. Now we want to go to the local directory, so we can do that just by typing cd empty space and then local, press enter, and then you will be in the local directory. In order to check what is in the local directory, type dir once again, and you will see multiple folders right there. The one that we're interested in currently is the programs folder. So make sure to navigate to the programs folder, and you can do that just by simply specifying cd programs, and there, if you type dir once again, you should see Python directory. Cd to that directory, press dir once again, you should see Python 37 directory if you actually downloaded the current version of Python as I did. If you are watching this in the future and there is a newer version, maybe this will be named differently, but it should be Python at least. So cd Python 37, and there, once you type dir, you should have a bunch of files as well as the scripts file. Go to the scripts file, and from there you should execute the same command that we did at the beginning of this tutorial, which is pip install and then requests. Press here enter, and this will install the request for you. Now make sure that you're connected to the internet. Now right here I already did install it there, that's why it actually says requirement already satisfied, because I installed it previously and I already have it. And once you perform this actual command, you will be able to use it as well. Okay? So once you actually finish all of that, you can close this, and you can go back to the idle. In order to import requests, you simply type this line that I typed at the beginning of this video. And now let's take a look at how we can actually make a simple GET HTTP request. So GET is by far the most used HTTP method. We can use GET request to retrieve data from any destination we want. So let's start off with a simple example first. Suppose we want to fetch the content of the home page of our website and print out the resulting HTML data. Now we can do that using the requests library simply with two-line commands. Okay, so we imported requests, and right now we're going to create something like this. So r equals requests.get, and all this takes in between the brackets is the URL of the site that we want to get the page from. So let's say we want to get the page from facebook.com. But make sure that you add the single quotes, and make sure to add HTTPS, column, 2 slashes, and then facebook.com, and then single quote at the end. Okay? Now, in order to actually print the HTML page, you can simply just type here print, and in between the brackets r.content. And you will see, squeeze text 929 lines, you will see that because it is a huge file, it will not really print it, as it says right here. The squeezed output is very long, 929 lines. Expanding it could make idle slow or unresponsive. It is recommended to view or copy the output instead. Really expand, you press here yes, and you will see the HTML code of Facebook. Now, because this is too long, and because this is actually making my actual idle unresponsive, we're going to restart this. I just want to show you, and we can take a look at a different example with a smaller page. So let's say, let me run my Apache 2 web server on my laptop, so I will do that real quick. The reason why I'm using my laptop is because the HTML code of that page will be rather small, so that's why we can actually use that one to test this. Okay, so I started the Apache 2. Now let's import requests. R equals requests.get, and what I'm going to specify in between the brackets is the IP address of my laptop. Oops, let's see. Because the target machine actively refused it. Okay, maybe I am refusing connection, doesn't even matter. Let's just use an actual real site. So equals requests.get, and in between the brackets let's specify, for example, let's say this website, and make sure to specify the actual HTTP. Let's see if this one will work. Okay, so this one does work. And let's say whether the content is too large to be printed out. If it is, doesn't even matter. We're just going to continue into the next example. Yeah, this one is even larger, as it says right here, squeezed 2072 lines. But basically you get the point. What this actual two-line code right here will do is it will perform a GET request onto the specified URL, and then it will, in order to print the HTML code of that page, you simply just type here print r.content in between the brackets, and it will prompt you with the HTML code of that page. It will also print the response in an encoded form, but if you want to see the actual text result of the HTML page, you can read the .text property of this object. Similarly, the status code property prints the current status code of the URL. Now we know that there are different status codes, such as, for example, 400, 404, 200 is the status code of OK. That means that you successfully loaded pages. Basically, there are different status codes. Now let me restart this once again because that error is too large. So let me import requests. And let's see how we can actually get this status code. So we know that we can for sure load the Facebook page as it is online and running. So let's see whether we will indeed get the status code of 200 once we try to actually load that page. So we will perform the same requests, or let's go for the Twitter this time. So requests.get, we will specify https twitter.com. We perform the get requests, everything works really well. In order to get the text printed out of the HTML code, you can simply just type print r.text. That is what I told you before. And it will of course say squeeze text 2,793 lines. That's why we will not really try to print it out. You can write it to a file and then inspect it. What we're more interested right now is to see whether we got a status code of 200, but even by this reply right here, we can guess that we did, but let's just in case print it. So in order to print that, you simply need to type the R, which is the object that performed the actual get request, as we can see right here, and then dot status underscore code. Let me see. Yeah, it's not stats code, it is status code. So r.status underscore code. And you can see we did get a code 200, which means that we successfully loaded the page. Okay, so also let us take a look at how we can actually read the response. So the response of an HTTP request can contain many headers that holds different information. That's why it is also important to know about the responses as well as to know about the requests as well. Now, HTTP bin is a popular website to test different HTTP operation. Let me just show you right here. If you just open up your Google Chrome, Firefox, or whatever you use, and you simply just type HTTP bin. Okay, HTTP bin.org, I believe. Yeah, it's not .com, it is .org. Let's go right there. Okay, so this is the website, and let's say and in order to inspect your actual packages flowing around, you need to go to the /get, I believe. If I just go right here, yeah, there it is. And this is basically your HTTP requests and responses. As we can see right here, the host is the httpbin.org. Let me just enlarge this. This is basically a GET request, and you can see the desired headers of the request. As we can see right here, headers accept encoding, accept language. So this is a GET request that we send to the actual site. And this site is good is because it actually prints out our request. As we can see right here, we are user agent, Mozilla, Windows 10, which is correct. And we are going over Google Chrome. So everything right here is correct. And this is our HTTP request to this httpbin.org website. So right now, let's see how we can actually interact in our Python with this actual website. So let me lower this so we can have both screens right here, even though we might not really need them, but doesn't even matter. Let us leave it right here. We'll perform the GET requests onto this website, which is httpbin.org and then /get. So in order to do that, we simply need to call requests.get, and in between the brackets, we specify http column / httpbin.org/get. This is our website. We perform the GET request, and let's see what happens once we print the header. So print r.headers, that is how we can print them, and in between the square brackets we specify which header we want. So let's say, for example, we want the server header. Okay, press here enter, and we can see that the output of this server header. Now we can try different ones if we want to, such as, for example, r.headers, and let's go with the, for example, date. Date is not defined. Yeah, it is not defined because we need to put it in between single quotes. Okay, and we can see the given date of the performance of this GET request. Now let's see different ones, such as, for example, headers, and in between the brackets we specify content type. Press here enter, application JSON. So you can see that you can actually print and retrieve the headers with the usage of the requests library. And we can also access each header value by using specific keys. Note now, one thing to also note is that the key is not case sensitive. Now, similarly, let's try to access the response value. So the above header shows that the response is in JSON. As we can see right here, it says content type and the application JSON. Now the requests library comes with one built-in JSON parser, and we can use it to parse it as a JSON object. So we can do something like this, requests .get, and let's do it from two different lines. Oops. First of all, we need to store it. So requests .get, in between the brackets we'll specify the same link. So http://http bin.org/get. Press here enter, and basically we did the same as in the previous actual example, but right now we're going to simply make a new variable. So response is going to be equal to r.json. So we're going to parse this data that we retrieved with the JSON library, or not the JSON library, with the JSON function. And if you simply just print r.json, you will see that we will get the output in a JSON format right here. As we can see right here, we have headers, accept encoding, host, user agent, and we can see that it differentiates from this actual request right here, because the user agent is no longer Mozilla, Google Chrome. Right now it says user agent is Python requests, which is actually correct. Okay, so that is also something to take a look at. But you can, of course, if you want to, you can simply just print different fields, such as, for example, print, and from the response we will set, let's try to print URL, and we will see that we actually do get https http://bin.org/get. So that is also something you can do. You can use JSON library to print it in the JSON format. Now let's say how we can actually pass the parameters in the GET request. Now in some cases you'll need to pass parameters with your GET request, which take the form of query string. Now to do this, we need to pass these values in the parameters as shown, right, as I will show you right here. So we imported requests, and now what we are going to pass to our actual website is the payload. So we will create a payload which is going to be a dictionary, which is going to have its keys and values. So the first actual element is going to be the username, which is going to have the key of, for example, administrator, doesn't even matter. And it also needs to have the password. So we will specify password right here, 2 dots in order to specify the key, and the password will be password, okay? And in order to actually send this as a payload to the website, all you have to do is simply perform the same requests. So requests.get, same as before, open and close single quotes, and type here http 2 dots and then / http bin.org/get. And before you click here enter, you need to add comma and then set the params variable to be equal to payload. That is how you can specify the parameters in the GET request. If you just press here enter and you print the r.text, print it right here, you will see what your actual request was. As you can see right here, user agent is Python requests, the URL is this one, and you can see that we actually passed the parameters in a link as well as the arguments that we see right here. And we can see that the URL that we actually try to get is this one, username equals administrator, as well as password equals password. Okay, the origin, this is the IP address of the website, and therefore we now know that we successfully passed the parameters with the actual GET request. Okay, so that will be basically about it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Bye!